Hello Bookish friends, welcome to the most exciting video of the year, which is my top 5 favorite books of the year. In this video I will talk about the books which I have the best reading experience. Thus they were my favorite books of the year 2025. I've had a pretty good year in terms of reading, and it was a bit hard to choose just 5 books. I finished the book that I was bud reading with Rose Skele dangling about the books, which was the third book in Women of Troy series, The Voyage Home by Pat Barker. We bud read the second book together, and when the third book came out and I couldn't find the book, I was gifted this book by Rose, which is a very special gift for me, and of course buddy reading the book also became a very special experience, like all of my buddies with her. This book is told from the perspective of 3 women. Ritsa, a middle-aged Trojan woman, the former healer who becomes the maid of Cassandra. The second person we are following is Cassandra. She was a former virgin priestess of Apollo, and after being raped in the monastery, she is cursed by Apollo to make prophecies truthfully, but nobody believes her. And her latest prediction is that she has to be with Agamemnon because she will die along with Agamemnon when they return to Greece. Thirdly, we follow Clytemnestra, the wife of Agamemnon, who rules Agamemnon's country in Greece during his absence. But she cannot forget that Agamemnon sacrificed her oldest daughter to the gods in order to make the winds change and sail to Troy to conquer the country. We follow these 3 women during the course of their journey to Greece, the voyage home, and in the first few days after Agamemnon and his army returned to Greece. I loved the way that Pat Barker wrote this mythological story. I very seldomly recognize good quotes in books, but in this book I wrote down many quotes that I liked very much. The very dramatic and tragic plot of this tragedy was through the eyes of a woman is a novelty, but especially in this book, creating very complex and conflicting characters whom we sometimes hate and sometimes we identify, was a very brilliant writing ability for Parker. I especially loved the sections through the eyes of Ritsa, a very realistic human being with human needs, observing this very tragic event, the power plays within the palace, especially between Cassandra and the queen. Also male characters with very big egos. Although the magical realism of mythology was toned down, especially in this book, the spookiness of the environment was felt all throughout the book, and additionally exchanging ideas with Rose as well as our thoughts about the book and how much we liked the writing style of Barker. It elevated my reading experience of this book. I want to thank Rose both for gifting this book and also bud reading this very beautifully written book with me. Overall, I very much enjoyed this reading experience, and I gave The Voyage Home by Pat Barker a 9 out of 10. I finished the book that I was reading for my in-person book club, Zesto Psomi by Feyza, Hepçilingirler. The Zesto Psomi means hot bread in Greek, and in this book we follow the story of a Turkish family living in Cretan after the First World War. When the Independence War happened in Anatolia, it was decided that people with Turkish origins living in Greece would be exchanged with the people living in Anatolia who had Greek origins. The book starts with their life in Crete and how they built their home. And the story goes on with their journey by sea, coming to Ayvalık. And through the end of the book, they settle in Ayvalık. Family, of course, will never be the same, both physically and psychologically, after leaving their home in Crete. I really loved this story. Could be because my family's origins also came from Crete, and my grandfather was just a baby when this immigrant exchange happened in 1923. It is a story very close to my heart, and I also very much thought that certain members of our family fitted the profile of this Cretan family. And I remembered my grandmother, my grandfather, my grandmother's mother, and they were so similar to the characters in the book. Especially the first half of the book was a magical reading experience. And the second section, which describes the sea voyage, was also very, very effective. And it depicted the reality and the harshness of this journey, both physically and also psychologically. I was very, very sure that I would give this book a 10 out of 10 up until the 70% mark. After that, although I really liked what happened in the end, I have to admit some of the plot details felt a bit too convenient, and everything was tied up in a ribbon. Because I was very much fond of the characters, I also really liked this ending, but this detail affected my rating, and I gave Zesto Psomi by Feyza Hepçilingirler a 9 out of 10, and I will certainly search and read more books from this author because I really, really loved her writing style. I finished the first book of the month. This was also the book that I chose for my TBR game, Roll the Dice, Animal Farm by George Orwell. This book has been on my TBR for a long time, and actually it was the most rated book on my TBR. And this book, written in 1945, is considered one of the most known modern classics. The book tells the story of a group of farm animals who rebel against their human farmer, hoping to create a society where the animals can be equal, free, and happy. Ultimately, the rebellion is betrayed, and under the dictatorship of a pig named Napoleon, the farm actually changes for the worse as the years pass by. According to George Orwell, this book is a satire about the Soviet Revolution, which happened in 1970. When I was reading this book, I saw some very, very specific details about especially the beginning of revolution in the animal farm with the Soviet Revolution. However, the second half of the book really can be applied to any form of dictatorship and autocracy. And although this book is considered a science fiction, I think it is very, very realistic, aside from using animals instead of people and politicians. I like the structure of the book very, very much. I thought it was a quite thought-provoking book, and it was easy to see how this book is considered one of the best modern classics. And I definitely agree, because the writing was very clear, easy to follow, but the satire of the book was very, very clever and also very, very well structured. It's really hard not to admire the cleverness of the author. So, like 1984, I very much enjoyed the reading experience of this book, and I gave Animal Farm by George Orwell a 10 out of 10. And I finished the book that I was reading for Pineiro project yesterday, Elena Knows by Claudia Pineiro. This book was originally not on my January TBR, although it was one of the books that I've added to my TBR for the year 2025. When I saw that Chad had formed a Boxer group, in which they read all the works of Claudia Pineiro. Also, the book for January was Elena Knows. I thought that it was a sign that I should join this group. I contacted Pat and became the part of the group. In this book, we follow Elena, who's in her early 60s and has a very advanced Parkinson's disease. Even the doctors call her case Parkinson Plus. The events in this book takes place in just one day. Elena wakes up to visit Isabella, who's a friend of her deceased daughter. And she wants Isabella to discover the truth behind Ritsa's death, which is accepted by all the authorities as a suicide. But Elena thinks that there is more to her death because she has acted quite strangely regarding the situation that she was found dead. Unable to convince the authorities, she decides to uncover the mystery, but she needs a healthy body. That's why she goes to the place that Isabella lives and asks for her help. Because of her condition, her trip to Isabella's house becomes an adventure by itself. Also, of course, we discover more about these three women through flashbacks. I will start with my rating, which is 10 out of 10. This became my first 10 out of 10 book after more than a year. I'm so glad that I could find a book that would impress me so much in terms of writing style, complex characters, the theme of the book, and of course in terms of the way that it makes me feel and think about things much more. Pineiro's writing was raw. It depicted the conditions of Parkinson's very realistically. I could fully understand the hardships that Elena went through to just get out of the bed, walk, even raise her head to look at a mirror, which was an incredible experience for me, considering that fortunately I do not have any physical constraints that affects my life. Themes that were brought in this book made me think about many things that woman goes through, which includes mother-daughter relationship, conditions of people with chronic diseases, hardships and the psychology of their caretakers, abusive and also toxic relationships, as well as women's decisions on their biology and their body. She packed all of these issues in a quite thin book without overwhelming the reader with bombardment of social messages. She made it so subtle and integrated all of them into the story of this elderly woman, her daughter and her friend, really professionally. Moreover, being a mystery lover, I was fully invested in the mystery of what really happened to Rita and why she died. So it was a very good reading experience for me. But what really made this book phenomenal was the discussion group that I joined. There were so many very good points made about the book. I became aware of some details that I did not think or not know through this wonderful group with so many considered and insightful people. And there was a trust and connection between us, which made us share some of our personal experiences. This, of course, enriched my enjoyment level even much more. So it was a very wise decision that I thought it was a sign that I should join this group. I will continue to be part of this group. I cannot wait to read more books from this author. Like I said in the beginning of my review, I gave Elena Knows by Claudia Pineiro a 10 out of 10. I finished the book that I was bud reading with Amy at Sobek. The third book in the House Murders series, The Labyrinth House Murders by Yukito Ayatsuji. The books in this series takes place in a weirdly structured and weirdly planned houses. And Shimada is the recurring character who's sort of like an amateur detective. This particular book Shimada, along with an editor and his wife, a critic, 4 young mystery writers are invited to the birthday party of a very, very famous mystery writer who owns the Labyrinth house. The house really has a very, very wide area, which is structured like a labyrinth. When the guests arrive to the party, the lawyer of the author says that the host committed suicide and he left half of his inheritance for a competition in which the 4 of the mystery authors would write murder stories in which the author would be the victim. If you have been following me for a while, you know that because I read so many of them, mystery books actually sometimes fail to impress me. But I was totally blown away by this book. I did not mention in the synopsis, but the book follows the structure of a book within a book. There are the short mystery short stories. So it's a very, very multi-layered piece of work. The mystery was full of twists, but it was structured so well. When you read the explanation and the reasoning behind this twist, you totally get it. And it makes so much sense, even though you did not think about it while reading the book. I loved that feeling, which had not happened to me for a while. And additionally, as an architect, I was very, very impressed by how the house was described. And during our messages, Amy and I both agreed that the entirety of the book series would make fantastic mystery movies. Speaking of Amy, it was an incredible experience to read this book with Amy. Overall, I simply loved this book and I gave The Labyrinth House Murders by Yukito Ayatsuji a 10 out of 10. Those were my favorite books of 2025. Please comment down below, have you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video and what did you think of them? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye! As for Turkish word of the day, since Animal Farm is considered to be highly political, I thought political should be the word of the day. Political means politik in Turkish and politik is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.